Aloha and welcome to the G'day Sally Show. I'm Sally Squires, entertaining the world. Now, this time I'm going to read Footstep 19 from my book, Footsteps to Fairy Forest. You remember this book is all about a little girl who finds a map down in the woodshed in a rusty jam tin in her grandmother's woodshed. And when she opens it up, it's got footsteps to Fairy Forest, and there's 26 footsteps altogether. So each day she sets out with her compass and she finds another footstep. And when she finds each footstep, guess what happens? She meets a fairy, and each time it's a different fairy because there's 26 different fairies. So right now we're up to footstep 19. My treasure box was getting crowded with all the footsteps I had collected. And each night before I went to bed, I loved opening it up and taking out each of the footstep signposts and remembering each of the fairies I had met. I was anxious to see what the shape of the signpost would be for footstep 19 tomorrow. So after I put away my treasure box, I got out my map and spread it out on the floor of my bedroom. Footstep 19 was to be in a northeast direction, and the signpost was a tiny silver star. I was very happy about that because Grandma had promised that for my next birthday she would have all the signposts put on a bracelet for me, so I would have my own Footsteps to Fairy Forest bracelet. I could hardly wait for my next birthday. This morning, as I walked along the path to look for Footstep 19, the silver star, I couldn't help looking up at the sky because it seemed to be a purple colour today, not blue as it usually was. There was an eerie feeling in the air, but I didn't let that bother me as I was determined to find that silver star so I could meet another fairy. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind picked me up and flew me through the air. I dropped my bucket and spade, but luckily I had put my map into the inside pocket of my summer jacket so I didn't lose it. Just as suddenly the wind stopped, and I fell onto a grassy hill just a short distance from the path. It didn't take me long to get back to where I was, and luckily my bucket and spade were there too. So I picked them up and started to walk again after I checked my compass to make sure I was still walking in the right direction. As I was walking, I could hear a soft humming noise just behind me, and when I looked around, I saw a brilliant gold and green hummingbird flying just there. It was so beautiful, and its wings were beating so fast I couldn't even see them. It darted off to a flower at the side of the track, and then it came back and flew just in front of me. It seemed to be bouncing up and down in the air, and then suddenly it dived down onto the track in front of me, tapped its beak on the ground, and then flew away. When I checked where it had tapped its beak, I could see a tiny silver star. I said a silent thank you to the beautiful hummingbird as I moved away the dirt to find Footstep 19. I held the silver star in the palm of my hand while I waited for the next fairy to appear. My heart was doing leaps in anticipation as I wondered which fairy I was about to meet. After a minute and a second, I could see a golden, orange and purple flash just near me, and as I held my breath, hardly daring to move, a golden, orange and purple fairy landed on the silver star in my hand. She said her name was Stampelesta and that she was the fairy of the stars, and then I fell asleep. So she's got to Footstep 19, and now we're going to find out about Stampelesta, the fairy of the stars. Stampelesta, the fairy of the stars, liked to stamp her foot when she wasn't getting her own way. All the other fairies had become used to her funny way, so they took no notice when she stamped her foot. This made her mad because stamping her foot didn't help her get her own way. But she continued to stamp her foot anyway, and all the forest creatures knew that they should disappear quickly when Stampelesta was having a stamping session. They did not want to be trampled under her fairy foot. One day, Stampelesta was even more annoyed about something than usual. She tried stamping her foot, but it did not work. I will just disappear out among the stars, she said to herself, because no one else was listening. Stampelesta knew that the stars were all her friends. They didn't ignore her when she stamped her foot. They were too busy rotating and generating scads of scintillating starshine. Now Stampelesta, the fairy of the stars, thought that she would take her time and be away from Fairy Forest for a fairly long time. So she decided that she would visit all the stars in turn, starting with the smaller star. She picked up her fairy wand and said the spell that would propel her out into space where all the stars lived. The smaller star was Alpharina, which only had one planet rotating around it. She dialed in the space coordinates for Alpharina star, but the dial on her fairy wand kept returning to 0. She tried again and again, but each time it returned to 0. Stampelesta was puzzled. "I know that Alpharina star is at this exact location," she said to herself, because no one else was listening. "This is exactly where it rotates." As the dial on her fairy wand seemed to be out of order, the fairy of the stars decided that she would have to work out another way to get to where Alpharina star was. First she imagined exactly how the star looked. Then she imagined exactly how its one solitary planet looked rotating around the star. Then she imagined how the rest of the stars in that corner of the universe looked as they were positioned in relation to Alpharina star. "Now, I will have to think of a magic spell to take me directly to Alpharina star," she thought. She opened up the secret spell section of her fairy wand, which was made of streaks of starshine, and said, "Unicorn, universe unusual, fly this fairy forwards, send me on a straight stairway, arriving at Alpharina starway." No sooner had Stampelesta, the fairy of the stars, finished her magic spell than she was whizzed through the universe at a breakneck speed, arriving almost immediately at Alpharina star. And when she regained her breath, she could see something very strange. The star was not rotating. It was standing, or sitting, perfectly still in its place in the universe. Now, as she is the fairy of the stars, Stampelesta can talk to each and every star by sending them thought messages. "Why are you not rotating as you usually do?" she asked Alpharina star. And all she heard in reply was a loud groan. "Bad head," said Alpharina star. "Comet hit me and stopped me in my tracks. I have forgotten how to rotate." When Stampelesta looked across at Alpharina's small planet, which was called Zia, she could see that it was still rotating even though its mother star wasn't. "Did you ask Zia if she knows how to start you rotating again?" asked Stampelesta. Alpharina groaned again. "Planet rotation is not the same as star rotation," she said. "Zia couldn't help me." "Well, this is a fine howdy-do," thought Stampelesta. "I must help Alpharina learn how to rotate again. I wonder if I can create a fairy magic spell that will do the trick." So she opened up the secret spell section of her fairy wand and said, "Unicorn, universe unusual, remembrance of rotation, sip, sap, sop, sup, sep." And she quickly flew above Alpharina star, but something had gone wrong, because Alpharina star didn't start to rotate, but Stampelesta certainly did. "Oh, frizzle, rizzle and sizzle," said the fairy. "I forgot to include Alpharina in my spell." As she was whirling about, she managed to remember how to reverse a magic spell to cancel it. "Unicorn, universe unusual, reverse remembrance rotation, rip, rap, rop, rup, rep." And Stampelesta, the fairy of the stars, came to a sudden stop. She was rotating no more. That's good. "Okay," she thought, "I need to try the spell again and get it right this time." So she lifted up away from Alpharina star and said the correct spell this time. "Unicorn, universe unusual, remembrance of rotation, arriving at Alpharina star, sip, sap, sop, sup, sep." And quite suddenly, Alpharina star began to rotate again, just as she had always done before. Now Stampelesta decided that she should add a further spell to make sure that Alpharina star never forgot how to rotate again. "Unicorn, universe unusual, always and ever Alpharina rotates royally right, tip, tap, top, tup, tap." And if stars could actually smile, Stampelesta, the fairy of the stars, was sure she could see a happy grin on Alpharina's star, who was rotating rapidly as she always did. And guess what? Stampelesta, the fairy of the stars, had been so busy helping Alpharina learn how to rotate again that she quite forgot why she had been so angry that she had stamped her foot. So that was Stampelesta, the fairy of the stars. You know, Hawaii is a microcosm of the world, with people here from all over the world. And Noa Hawaii is a microcosm of the traditional arts of the world, with beautiful patterns from many countries. They've been in business for more than 40 years with wonderful Hawaii-designed batik clothing. Their hand-dyed and handmade clothes have patterns that are based on traditional kapa and tapa designs from Hawaii, Polynesia, Micronesia, Indonesia, even New Zealand and Africa. So check out the wonderful items that Noa has on their website, www.noanoahawaii.com.